Okay. See, in the other day, on the other day, we were discussing about the accessor methods and mutator methods. So this understanding is very important to understand about the encapsulation in Java. Okay. So what is encapsulation? Okay, if anyone is asking you, what is the encapsulation? The first point, anyone can say that it is one of the topics in object-oriented programming system. It is one of the concepts in object-oriented programming system that anyone can say, right? And also the word encapsulation, right? So when you want to understand about the encapsulation, we have to understand about the functionality of the accessor method and the functionality of the mutator methods, because we are dealing with the private variables. So you want to set the data to the private variable, or you want to get the data from the private variable. So you cannot get the data directly. Instead of getting the data directly, you depend upon the accessor method. Instead of setting the data directly, you depend upon the mutator method. So this was a discussion in the last class. Sir, no. So what ideally, so the typically the encapsulation says, for example, it is just like a container. It is just like what? It is just like a container. I can say that it is a process. Is a process of wrapping code and data together into a single unit. Okay, what is encapsulation? You can give this one line answer. This is completely fine. Okay, if they dig you for more information, you can also explain the things that I'm going to explain now. So this one line is perfect for the encapsulation answer. It is a process of wrapping code and data together into a single unit. What does it really mean? So we know that already whenever you want to design a class, that class will be designed on top of, so any class will be designed on top of a package. Inside package, you will define a class. So after defining the class, your particular class is going to have two important things. One is what? One is data. Data can be like placed in the form of variables. Okay, and the behavior. So when I say behavior, you must understand that behavior can be applied in the form of methods. So in a class, you have data and method. Variables and the methods. Right? So you cannot have the variables or you cannot have the methods outside the class. It should always be placed inside a class, right? And the method should also be placed inside a class. So you are doing what? You are wrapping up the data and the methods together into a single unit. You're wrapping up what? You are wrapping up the data. When I say data, I'm talking about the variables. When I say behavior, I'm talking about the methods. You're wrapping up the data and the methods together into a single entity, which is called as what? Which is called as encapsulation. But one thing you have to remember, if you want to ensure that your data is completely secured, you have to use the access modifier for the variables. For the variables, always you have to ensure that you're using the private access modifier. Right? Private access modifier should be applied to all the variables. For example, in my class A, if let us say I have three variables, right? Let us say that I'm having three variables, variable 1, and I also have variable 2, and I also have variable 3. So let us say that variables are like the name variable and the ID variable and the location variable, right? So you choose the particular data type to declare this variable, right? You choose a data type, and also you must choose the access modifier as private. Access modifier for all the variables has to be private, right? So that the control cannot be, you cannot access this outside a class. For example, let us say that I have another class like class B. Let us say that I have another class like class B. From the class B, if I want to access the variables which is inside the class A, I cannot access that directly. So directly I cannot access it. Direct access is not possible because you are going to declare the variable as private. right? This is not possible. So the way of you cannot access this directly. So how you can access these variables? You can access it indirectly with the help of what? With the help of methods, accessor method and the mutator methods. This is how you can access. Okay. So why one has to? So why everyone has to? I mean, why one has to go for accessor and mutator methods to access the private variable? So I would say that I am talking about the security here. So the private data can be like a very sensitive data. For example, let me take a person class. Okay, let me take a person class. The person class can have the sensitive data like the Aadhaar card number. Okay, Aadhaar number, right? And another sensitive information like the PAN number. So let me take the data type as string. Okay, let me take the data type as, right? So I need to ensure that the access modifier should be declared as private. So the access modifier should be declared as private because these two are the sensitive information, sensitive data. We want to access this data from another class. For example, let me use the values also. Let me say that my Aadhaar card number is 1234. Right? Let me say that. Let me remove this pack. Not required for now. Okay, let me say that my PAN number is something like 5678. For the time being, I am taking the values directly. We want to access it from outside the class. So let me create an object for the person. The person p equal to, okay, you person, right? So system dot out dot println, right? By with the help of the person variable, what I want to do, I want to get access to what? I want to get access to Aadhaar, right? So if I execute this code, definitely I will be getting an error. So let me save this first of all. By save as b.java, right? Let me perform the compilation. Java c space b.java. Okay, now it says Aadhaar acts private access, so you cannot access it directly. So the reason behind that is very simple. So since the data is very sensitive, you are not allowing to have this data get accessed from outside the class. So this data is placed in a different class, person class, and you are trying to access this sensitive information from another class, which is called class B, right? But still, if you want to provide access, you will be giving the access in the controlled manner. What is that controlled manner? So, sir, you are saying that we are not able to access these private variables, but still with the help of getters and setters, with the help of setters, we know what is the setters now, right? The accessor method. So what, how I can declare the accessor method? Public string name of the method, right? Get. So we have seen this in the last class for the naming convention. Okay. For the Aadhaar card, you will prefix the variable with the word get, and the first letter has to be capitalized, right? And you will be having a block for this method, which is going to return what? Is going to return the same variable, which is Aadhaar. Okay. Now, if I call get Aadhaar method, I would be able to access the actual value of the private variable. Now I am not calling the variable directly. I am not calling this variable directly. I am calling this variable with the help of a method. I am taking the help of a method, right? So I am calling this method. This method is returning the value that is inside the Aadhaar variable. So you don't touch this directly, but you're able to touch this indirectly. You're able to get access to this indirectly. You might be thinking what difference that it would make, right? So if I am able to touch this indirectly, is like a kind of security is also getting compromised because you are using what? You're using a method, you're taking help of a method, accessor method to get access. What difference does it make? The security is compromised, the sensitive information is getting retrieved, right? So that could be a question. Let me explain that for you. Let me run this first. Java C space b dot Java. Java space B. So we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4. I am able to get access from the outside the class. Now I will reveal one logic. Okay, now you see, now try to identify, we are dealing with how many classes? We are dealing with two classes. This is the person class, and okay, this is what? This is the class B. We are dealing with two classes. Okay, let me separate these classes. Separate this class B. Let me place a class B, right? Now see, the main thread executes, the execution starts from the main method. The object has been created for the person class, right? And an object will be created which is going to allocate values for the instance variables. Other equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And pan equal to 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Right? After this, you are calling a method called t.getOther, right? The control will be transferred to the getOther method. So which is, it is returning what? It is returning the variable other. I mean the value inside the variable other. What is the value inside the variable other? 1, 2, 3, 4 is the value inside the variable other. Right? So this value will be returned, and which is going to be transmitted back from the place where it was called, right? So when you see one thing, right, you're calling this method, but internally this method is depending upon the private variable, isn't it? Internally, you are able to get access to, this method is able to get access to the value that is declared inside the private variable. So this is of what type? This is of private type. But you are using a method which is called as public method. By using the public method, you are able to get access. Right? The question is what difference that it makes. That could be the question. Security is compromised again. So what is the point? Okay, what is the point here? What is the takeaway here? Instead of doing this, so I can change this to public. I can directly access this variable, right? So what is the point here? What is the use of declaring this variable as private here? So I have said that sometimes there will be a situation where you will be allowing to get access in a controlled manner, where you will be placing the accessor method. Okay, this is the accessor method, right? The accessor method is used to get access. It is going to help you to get access to the private variable from outside the class. But you have to do that in a controlled manner. What is a controlled manner? You will place a kind of what? You will place a kind of authentication logics. Sometimes, in rare cases, authentication logics. What kind of? I can just redesign my method. I can just redesign my method in such a way that I will be authenticating the actual person, right? Only if the person is authenticated, that person is able to get access to my private variable. What does it really mean? Okay, so I will be accepting a parameter string. Let me say it as name. I will be accepting the parameter string. Let me say it as name. Okay. Now my method. Okay, this is the accessor method. This is the accessor. My accessor method is going to accept a parameter, right? What I'm going to do, I will be checking, I will be doing a conditional check. What kind of conditional check I will be doing? I will check, okay, if the name equal to Balaji. Only if the name is equal to Balaji, okay, authentication is happening here, I will be returning the Aadhaar card number. Else I will be returning what? I will be returning something like access denied. So this is the way that you will be controlling what? You will be giving access in a controlled manner. Okay, let me run this code. If I want to run this code, let me pass Balaji here. Okay, only the person, okay, only if you pass a value, this value will be authenticated with the logic that you have given in the accessor method. Only if the logic that you have given in, only if the if condition is getting valid, or if the authentication is getting validated, then the Aadhaar card number will be returned, or else it will be displaying what? Access denied. Let me run this code. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Instead of Balaji, if I am passing what? If I am passing something like, okay, Sudhir. Now you see access denied. Right? Okay, let me help you to understand the control flow. Okay, let me take this space. See, now the question is what I am addressing the question. Okay, so we are not able to allow get access to the private variable outside the class. Okay, this is a private variable which is part of a different class. I'm trying to access it from a different class, which is class B. Right? I cannot touch this directly. We know that I cannot touch these private variables directly. Instead of touching it directly, I am taking the help of accessor method. Okay, my accessor method is going to help me out to do what? To get access to the private variable, right? But in a controlled manner. You should understand this in a controlled. This time, I'm able to give access to my private variable after performing some authentication in a controlled manner. So my accessor method as a logic which is going to authenticate the user. Okay, if the user is valid to that particular user, I will be giving access. If not, the access will be denied. Okay, I am taking an additional field. What is an additional field? I am accepting the name. I'm accepting the name. Okay, so this time what I am calling get other method. I'm passing the name Sudhir. Okay, the control will be transferred to the respective method, right? The control will be transferred to call the respective method by taking the value Sudhir. Okay, the data will be transmitted to the respective method, okay, over here, right? And Sudhir will be conditionally checked. Inside this Sudhir will be checked with Balaji. If the Sudhir is equal to Balaji, it is not equal to, right? So if condition will be failed and else condition will be applied, and the output is going to be what? Output is going to be accessed. So this time I'm able to get giving access to the private variables by after performing the authentication. Are we good till now? Are you able to understand? Now I think your bulbs are going glowing now. Everyone are able to understand what I'm trying to say?
Understand, sir.
Yeah, because
Understand.
yeah, we are not able to. You can't access it directly, but we are able to access it by using accessor method. But it is not making any sense now, right? Instead of placing accessor method, I can mention that I can change this access modifiers as public, so directly they can access, right? By with the help of accessor method also there is a kind of violation here. Everyone, the sensitive information is getting transmitted somehow, right? But I want to control that. I want to control that. So in this way I can control this. So this is applicable for accessor method also. This is applicable for the mutator method also. So when I say mutator method, see guys, my Aadhaar card number has to be fixed. My Aadhaar card number has to be fixed. Forget about the Aadhaar card number. This time let me take what? My account balance. Let us say that my account balance is something like 1000 rupees, right? Let me keep the PAN card number just like that. Let me remove this accessor method. So these two things are securely placed by using the private access modifier, right? Access modifiers are completely private. So someone from outside, okay, let me say that I itself, I want to increase my balance to the what by through the fraudulent action. How I can do that? I can use the setter method, right? Mutator methods. How I can develop the mutator method? So public access modifier, void is a return type, and set balance, setting the balance. So you need to prefix the word set before the variable name. The first letter of the variable name has to be capitalized, right? And you pass a value, right? The passing value should be what? It should be equivalent to the variable here. String. Same variable will be accepted. The variable name has to be same as the variable name that is declared for the instance variables, right? Okay, inside the body, you accept this variable, okay, and you accept the data, and you will be doing what? You will be transmitting it. You will be setting the value that is accepted by this method. You will be setting that to the class level variable. Right? In this way, if you see, now the security is compromised to the I extent, right? To the greater extent. I have the power, okay? I am giving the control for the other classes to modify the balance from one balance to another balance, the bigger amount or to the smaller amount, whatever it is, right? So what I can do, I can do something like by taking the help of set balance method, right? So p dot set balance. Okay? Simply I can pass balance amount to something like I can set the balance to the greater extent. I can increase my balance just by with the help of the mutator method. This time the method is what? The method is mutator. After doing this, if I print the value latest balance in the memory person object, what I would be getting? P dot set, not set balance, P dot balance. Okay. Now see what would happen. Okay, again I'm directly accessing the private variable. Let me print the balance here. System dot out dot println, or else I can use set. I can use getter also. So I can use getter to get the latest balance. Instead of doing this, let me use the getter. One second. Okay. Okay. String, okay, balance. Okay. Return. Okay. I've set my balance to a bigger amount, and I want to see what is my latest balance. System dot out dot println, right? P dot get balance. P dot get balance. Okay, let me run this. Okay, now balance has been set from the 1000 to a bigger amount, right? So it is a data is getting compromised. That is a data inconsistency. Security is compromised. So we are doing this kind of activities, which is an illegal activity. And since even though we are using a private variable, still the value is getting modified to the greater amount with the help of what? With the help of mutator method. But I want to control that. I want to control it. I want to control it. How I can control it? I can pass another variable like string in deposit. I can pass a variable like sing deposit. What is the amount that you want to deposit? Right? I can say that balance plus. Okay, so customer will be depositing some amount. That amount will be summed up with the existing balance. Okay, in this way, like now this is completely valid. I can write a logic in this way so that you are depositing something. That deposited amount will be get summed up with the existing balance. Now this looks little valid. Now this mutator method is in your own control. You are not modifying the data just like that. You are modifying it in such a way that it is giving you the complete justification or the validation. Okay? In the real-time application, you are not going to simply do like this. Just try to understand the logic behind the scenes. We are able to change the access, change the data in the private variable by using the mutator method or by using the setters. But how we are doing that in a controlled manner? You might be thinking, okay, by with the help of setters, we can directly modify, we can directly get access. I mean, you can indirectly get access and you can do changes, whatever you like. But now this time you are doing the changes, but in a controlled manner. Right? What is the difference between the existing previous logic and the logic that I have written now? Now this time I can do what? I can, okay, let me remove this. Is not required. You will be depositing an amount. You will be depositing an amount, right? That amount will be summed up with what? This dot balance plus deposit. Let me run this. If you are depositing something like set balance, if you are depositing 100, let me print the existing balance first. Existing balance. Balance. Okay. That's after depositing. Now you see the output. Okay, I'm sorry, this has to be in the string type. Okay, for the time being, I have taken it as a string type. In the future, you can take it as integer type also, no issues. Okay, existing balance 1000. Since you are taking it as a string type, it is giving this nonsense kind of, it is getting concatenated. Okay, let me change it to integer only. Okay, it's integer with this integer is of integer type. Okay, and this has to return what? This has to return integer. Let me remove it to integer only. Everything is perfect now. Balance, set balance integer. Okay, this call balance deposit. Okay, then get balance of integer type. Everything is perfect now. Okay, so existing balance 1000 and the balance after depositing you will get 1100, right? In this way you are able to get access to the private variable at this time. Now this logic is making more sense, but you are controlling it now, and this is not actually a control. You can also place some conditional checks. Okay, you can add another variable like another string variable here. Only if the only if the person, okay, you can take a string variable and you can perform a conditional check for the string variable. Only if the person is equal to so and so person, he can deposit the balance, or else he cannot deposit the balance. If you want me to place that condition, let me take the name here. Okay. If name equal to Balaji, then start performing the start depositing. Okay, yes. Dot out dot println balance not update. You will trace this. Okay, don't worry. I'm passing two arguments. One is for depositing amount, second one is Balaji. So this method will be called 100 will be here. The first parameter value is going to be 100. The second parameter value is going to be Balaji. Right? Now this Balaji will be checked upon the if condition. Balaji equal to Balaji. Right? Then if condition gets satisfied, now the actual deposit will start. Okay? So this start balance is what? Existing balance is 1000 plus what is the amount that you deposited? 100. So the balance becomes what? The balance becomes 1100. Right? If it is not matching, instead of Balaji, if you say something like there, right? Now this if condition will not get satisfied, else will be applied balance not updated. I can say that invalid user. You're controlling it. This is how we can control it, but usually you don't do this because there are a lot of ways to take care of the security things. So this is answering the question of what kind of answering you are getting now, what kind of answers you are getting now. You are getting access to the private variable indirectly. Then what is the use of setters and what is the use of getters? Right? It is helping you to get access to the what is the use of getters and setters. It is also compromising the balance. If you get such kind of question, you should mention that you can design accessor method or the mutator methods in such a way that the private variables are accessed in a controlled manner. In this way. But in the real-time applications, you don't do all kind of things. There are some other ways where you will be taking care of the security things. There are some other areas where you will be taking care of security things. Let me run this first actually, see what we are trying to do. Okay. Existing balance after depositing. Did I save this or not? Yes, because we are passing Balaji in the method. Passing Balaji. If I am not passing Balaji, right? If I am passing So there, who is not the right person to deposit the account. Okay, balance not updated, invalid user. Balance after depositing remains 1000 itself. Okay, let me trace this really quick. So by this we can conclude the importance of the encapsulation. I will give you some theory. With that, the encapsulation topic will be over. Pay some attention here, the tracing part. You want me to trace, or are you able to understand this? Can I get answers? Anyone? Can I proceed with the tracing, or it's okay? Hello? Come on guys, answer.
Understand.
Understand? Can I skip this tracing part?
Yes, sir.
The others are not answering. Open your mouth, guys. You're not opening mouth here. How we will open the mouth in interview rooms? Huh? Okay, then try to trace it by yourself. Okay, now the next topic is, okay, not the next topic. So now we will be seeing some theory about encapsulation. But it is a process of wrapping code and data together into a single unit, right? Okay. Now, next question is, next answer is, so you can also say that by marking all the member variables as private, okay, please be informed that, okay, all the member variables means instance variables. Member variables as private. Okay. And also ensuring the valid getters and setters are incorporated. You can define the class a fully encapsulated class. Encapsulated class. Okay. In addition, you are also able to ensure that the access for the private variables are granted in the control domain. Granted in the control domain. Okay, now you see guys, so in the real-time application developments, okay, I'm going to discuss this with the help of by considering how you are going to use this getters and setters, where we will be using this, that thing you will understand. For example, so you know the front end, right? So you know take any front end application which is accepting three parameters, okay, the name parameter, the age parameter, the location parameter, right? So let us say that you're using a JavaScript in the front end, right? And in the back end, you're using what? You're using the Java. So always remember at the time of integration, there will be integration between these two layers, right? Front end and the back end. So this is the back end. Let me take it as B. Right? So the client is going to give you this data, right? Client is going to enter this information, name information, age information, location information. So this entry will be given by the client. He is going to enter each and everything, right? So the variable that is being used in the JavaScript, okay, it is highly recommended to use the same variable names in the backend Java. So you want to capture the data that has been entered by the client application. Okay, the client may be entering the information like Maharaji. They may be entering information like something like age 27. You may be entering information like rich. You also should understand about the data types. For now, understand about the data types, what kind of data you're going to receive in the backend. right? How we are going to deal with this data? So blindly, the data that is being inputted in the front end, okay, it has to be received first of all, right? The backend has to receive the data, right? So this information needs to be received by the backend layer, right? How we are going to receive that information? To receive this information, you will be using what? You will be using a class which is completely built on top of encapsulation concept. To receive this information, you have to build a class which is completely incorporated on top of encapsulation concept, right? So you take a class. So backend, okay, the architecture says you take a class, put the name of the class as person class. Okay? In your class, you are going to receive the three information from the client side, from the front end. This is front end. Let me keep it clear. Okay? So create a variables for that. First is what kind of data? First information is the name information. Okay. Second one is what? The age information. Third one is what? The location information. Right? Try to understand how this data is being used. What kind of data type that you have to use to receive this information. From front end, they may be using different data. From the back end, you have to. It's your decision, because you will do some manipulations, some modifications in the back end. Based upon that, you will choose the data type. So by looking at this, I can say that for the name, I can take it as string, right? For the age, I can take it as what? For the age, I can take it as integer. It will make more sense. For the location, I can take it as a string. So you don't, you don't assign the values that you receive directly. You don't assign that actually. Okay. You just keep it as what? You just perform the declaration, and you don't initialize the values first of all. Right? And you should also ensure that all the variables are what? All the variables are declared with the private access modifier. Private access modifier. Private access modifier. Right? After this, when you have variables, right? When you have variables, you have three variables, right? To initialize the values to respective variables, you may be using two things here. Either you can use constructors. Constructors are meant to initialize the values to the respective variables, respective instance variables. Or you can use what? You can use getters. You can use setters. Right? How you can use the constructor? Constructor can be used what? It should be same as the class name. First thing, name of the class is what? Name of the class is person. Okay, how many variables are you using? Three variables. Three variables of what type? First one is the string type. Let me take the same variable name. Second one is integer type. Let me take the same variable name. Third one is again string type. Let me take the same variable name. The three parameters are passed here. Okay, and you capture this data, right, and you will assign it to the instance variable itself. This dot name equal to name. Okay, this dot age equal to age, and this dot location equal to location. Okay, I'm just telling you, in order to receive this data, you need to design the class in the back end in such a way that that class is following the encapsulation principle. Right? You will have a constructor. Okay. I have taught you about the constructor already, but I am also taking a constructor. So, I can initialize the values to the instance variable either by using a constructor, which is same as the class name, or by using what? By using the setter. How I can design a setter? We know how to design a setter by now, right? So you will be taking public, okay, void, and inside void, the name of the method has to be what? Set name, okay, which is accepting the name as the parameter, okay, and this dot name equal to name. This dot name equal to name. Likewise, for the other two variables, I will be designing as setters. So name, you have what? You have age. Age is of what type? Integer type. Integer age. Okay, this dot age equal to age. Then the last one is what? Last one is name, age, and the location. Location is of what? Let me take set location. Okay, you capture this and you capture the information, and you are going to set the values by creating an object. I will tell you. Okay, please show some page. String location. String location. This dot location equal to location. Right? So I have taken 3 setters, and I also should take 3 getters to get the information that has been set in the object. So I have 3 setters, and I will also take what 3 getters. So how I can design the getter? Public string get name, return name, public string public int get age, public int get age, return age, public string get location, return location. Okay. And after this, you will have to override the toString method. Okay, public string toString. Okay. Return name plus age plus location. Okay, so what I have done to receive this 3 information from the front end, in the back end you have to design a class that is following what? That is following the encapsulation principle. So in my class, if you see, I have variables which is going to accept the same data that was passed in the front end. There are 3 data. I should ensure that it is private. After this, I am also taking what? I am taking 3 setters. 3 setters. My setter, I can set the values by using constructors. If not, I can set the values by using setters. I have optional things. Either I can use constructor or else I can use setters. Okay, and also I am taking what? I am taking what? 3 getters. Why 3 getters? How many variables I have? I have 3 variables, so definitely I will be requiring what? 3 getters. Okay. After this, I am also overriding something like the toString method. So if I just print the reference variable in the system.out.println, I will be getting the what are the values that is stored in the instance variables like name, age, and location. Okay, so this is called as what? This class is called as what? The POJO class. POJO class. Plain old Java object. This is called as what? This is called as what? POJO class. POJO classes are also called as what? Fully encapsulated classes. POJO classes are also called as what? Fully encapsulated classes. Okay. Now, why I'm saying all this? These POJO classes, or I can say that fully encapsulated classes, plain old Java object, I can say. Plain old Java. It is also called as fully encapsulated classes. Encapsulated. So this POJO classes is going to act as the data carriers. Is going to act as the data carriers. Okay, very simple. Okay, in the front end, if you are receiving 3 information from different variables, okay, you need to, in the back end, you need to create a POJO class or the encapsulated class in such a way that all the variables should be declared with private. You can take a constructor which is accepting all the arguments, take setters and take getters and override the toString method. This is called fully encapsulated classes. And this design is completely required so that you will be able to receive the data. You will be able to receive data. See, first person can enter this information, right? First person may enter this name as Balaji, age as 24, and the location as Chennai. Second person may be entering a different information, like he can be entering like name as Sudhir, age as something like 20, location as Hyderabad. Like the third person may be entering a different information. But in the back end, you're going to have only one Pojo class which is going to create objects for all this information. For the first person, an object will be created. Okay, with the help of the setters, okay, you catch this value. With the help of setters, you will assign the value to the instance variables, name, age, and the location. That we will understand the future. For now, this thing is going to do what? It is going to capture the data from the front end with the help of either with the help of setters or with the help of constructor. We will assign the value to the instance variables. Let us say that the person once is entering something like Balaji, right? And the age is something like 20. And the location is something like Chennai. Okay, this will be stored as what? This could be stored as P1. Okay. Like this, the person 2 can be entering a different set of information. Okay, you will be storing that in the P2 person object. Okay, likewise, the person 3 will be entering a different set of information. You will be storing that in P3 person object. Right, let me say it as P2. Okay, let me say it as P3. Okay, the information cannot be similar. So let me change this to Sudhir. Okay, and let me change this to Lakshmi. Yeah, you can also change the location if you want. So you are storing the data. Okay, this data is received from the front end. You are storing it in the object with the help of setters, or else you can go with the constructors also. You can also use the constructors to capture the data. How we are capturing the data, that is a secondary thing. But in order to capture this data, you should have the Pojo class, which is also called as what? Fully encapsulated classes. It is going to have the private variables and setters and getters and also the toString method. And also the toString method. I mean the toString method and also the constructor. Right? So you have the data stored. P1 as this data and P2 as this data and P3 as this data. If you want to perform the manipulation, what you want to do, you will be using what? You will be using getters. What you can do, you can say P1 dot get name. Right? So P1, if you say P1 dot get name, you will be getting the name Balaji. Right? You can perform the manipulation on that name. I can say that what? Convert the name to lowercase. Okay, there is a function called lowercase function. So this kind of manipulation that we will do in the backend. We will see that in the real-time application development. Okay, our understanding has to be limited to the Pojo class, which is used to accept the data from the different kind of what different subsystems or different systems or different areas, or else I can say from the front end or from the different databases or from different application. When you want to accept that, you should be having a class that is following the fully encapsulated logic, which is also called as what? Pojo class. So do we have any other thing in the Pojo class? In the Pojo class, you are having for now the private variables, you have the setters, and you have the getters, and also you have the constructors. It is an optional thing, but these constructors are also used to assign the values to the instance variables and also toString method to print the meaningful data in the console. Right? Likewise, in future, like if in the front end is trying to accept the information like something like, we say that the college name, okay, and the location. Okay, and you will design a Pojo class in such a way that you will be having two private variables by the name of the by college name and by the location. You can choose the respective data types, and you will be having two getters. You will be having two setters. We will be having the constructor which is accepting all the parameters. All our constructors is accepting all parameters. And we will be overriding the toString method. These are the basic things that you have to take to do the data transfer, to capture the data and to send the data to different applications or different classes for the manipulation. Or understand, have you understood the usage of Pojo classes for now? Type say yes or in the chat box, or say yes. Hello? Everyone?
Understand.
Understood, no? just a data carrier, guys. Okay, the Pojo class is used to act as a data carrier, right? This class you will be coming across these classes very often. For 20% of your application development will depend directly upon the Pojo classes. You will be creating lot of Pojo classes. So you receive data and you will send the data. You receive data and you will transmit it, or you manipulate it, or you will transfer it to different subsystem. But you need to receive in the first place, isn't it? To receive that data from different system, you will be using these Pojo classes, which is working fully on the concept of encapsulation. Right? Let us design our own small Pojo class, okay, for the better understanding. Let me remove all these things not required. Let me remove all these things. Okay, I am going to take a simple Pojo class. Whenever I hope my voice is audible now. Am I audible right now? Let us design my own Pojo class. Let us say that my front-end application is accepting only one thing. Tell me your name. That's it. What it is expecting? Just tell me your name. Okay, I am putting the name. Let me take it as private. Okay, and I want to do what? I want to, for the perfect Pojo class, what I want to do, I want to take a constructor which is going to set the data to the instance variable. This dot name equal to name. Okay, now the getter I am taking public string get name. Okay, this dot name equal to name. No, sorry, return name. Return name. Okay. Public void set name. This dot name equal to name. Name. So you will be accepting the name. Okay, and the toString method. Okay, public string override. You have to override the toString method. Okay, return. That's it. Just imagine that we are receiving this data from the front end, okay, and you have to design a Pojo class. Your Pojo class has to have the variable and a constructor, and and again, whenever you are taking the all argument constructor, please ensure that you are also placing one default constructor. Okay, this is highly recommended. Right? It is your duty to place a default constructor. We have got to know about this reason in our previous classes. Sometimes you may be the when you are creating an object, that object, the control will be looking for the default constructor. When you're not placing it, you will get an error. So always make sure the default constructor is placed along with the argument constructor, and you have a getter and you have a setter, and you're overriding the toString method. So this class is called as what? This class is completely called as the Pojo class, okay, or the fully encapsulated class, right? Okay, variables has to be private. Now how I want to set the data, right? I can create the person object, person p1 equal to new person. Okay, I can pass the value directly here. Let me pass Lakshmi here, right? So this data will be received from the front end somehow. You will be receiving it somehow in the controller layer. Forget about that thing. Let's assume that this data you're receiving it from the front end. After receiving it from the front end, okay, this data will be stored. How it is getting stored? With the help of this constructor. Or else you have another option. What is another option? You can create the object with no parameter. Let me take p2, right? And you can set the value by using what? By using the setter p2 dot set name. You can call the set name method and you can set the value. Right, in this case, let me say Teja here. So two options, either you can go for constructor, you can use the setter. But how we will be getting the data in each and every object? System dot out dot println. Okay, system dot out dot println. Let's just print p1 and just print p2. Right, or else you can also do what? You can also p2 dot get. Okay, let me execute this and see if it is satisfying our requirement. Okay, you get Lakshmi, Teja, Teja. Now let me trace this. Okay, you don't think that this is waste of time. Tracing is a waste of time. By this we can conclude this encapsulation. We trace this really quick, will not take much time. Now you see the importance of encapsulation. Let me separate this main class. Yeah, let me keep the main class here. Okay. Now you see, I assume that you are receiving this data from this front end. Okay, in the future while developing the project, you will understand this thing. Okay, I'm just outcoding this. You're just receiving it this person as this Lakshmi is from the front end. Value is receiving from the front end. Okay, now you see person Lakshmi. Okay, the person constructor will be called, right? The control will be jumped to what? The control will be jumped to the person constructor which is accepting the argument of string type. So Lakshmi will be transmitted. Lakshmi will be transferred. Before that, an object will be created and reference variable is going to be what? P1, right? Which is going to allocate value for the instance variables, which has only one thing, which is what? Name. In the beginning, it is going to be null. Right? Now, person constructor is getting called. So this is the person constructor. Okay, Lakshmi will be transmitted and assigned to the class level variable this dot Lakshmi, right? Means it is going to get assigned to the here it is going to get set. Null will be replaced with Lakshmi. Right? The control will come back. Next thing is what? I am creating a person to object. Now this time I am creating another object by the name of what? By the name of P2. Right? In the beginning, okay, in the beginning, the instance variables is going to have the null value. Right? Now I am not using the constructor to set the value. I am using the setter now. Previously, I have used a constructor for Lakshmi. Okay, but the idea is very simple. The constructor is also going to assign the values to the instance variable. This is the constructor. This time I am using the setter. I am setting the name by using what? By using setter. But the purpose is same, isn't it? Think that the constructor is also assigning values to instance variables. The setter is also going to assign the values to insert variable, right? But now Teja will be transmitted. Okay. The value Teja will be transmitted on the respective method, which is what? Set name. This is the set name method, right? And Teja will be passed as a parameter and you are assigning it to the instance variable of name itself. So Teja will be replaced, null will be replaced by Teja. Okay, after this, what you are doing? So the next thing is what? You are just calling the P1, okay, P2. So when you call P1 and P2, it is depending upon what? It is depending upon the toString method of the current class. toString method. Calling the toString method. It is going to print the name itself, right? P1 and P2 will be printed in the console. Okay, if you take this as a console and P1 will be Lakshmi, the value say the P1 is Lakshmi. The Lakshmi will be printed. Okay, and Teja will be printed. After this, what you are doing? You are getting the name. P2 dot get name. Again by using the setter and getter, you are trying to access the name.